Today, I'm going to unbag, do a page flip, discuss briefly, and provide a little bit of an overview of Rio Grande, the Battle of Valverde, which is in Strategy and Tactics magazine number 143, which was published way back in June 1991. Now, this is a wargame, magazine wargame, designed by Richard Brig. Yes, that Richard Brig. And is covering an aspect of the American Civil War, which I think I can safely say is not covered very much. This is the battle in the West, the far West. Normally when you hear about a battle in the West, you're thinking about Vicksburg and Pea Ridge and Wilson's Creek and Missouri, Arkansas, and those areas. This is the far West. This is New Mexico. So let's get in this bag and see what is all the fuss. I have not really seen a lot about this game, and so don't know if there is a lot on this game. So love to know if any of you have played this, what you think about this. It's a typical Richard Brig design. It's relatively involved, and it's part of it's kind of a small adaptation of the Battles and Leaders system from SDI. Don't really know much about that system, but that's what it said in the magazine. Spoiler alert. Got ahead of myself there. But let's get inside the magazine and see what we have here. Let's pull out the map and the counters, which are, which you'll need that to play the game, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's do a little bit of a page through here and see what we have in this game, in this magazine. It's going to have the rules in here, of course, nestled within the confines of this magazine. As you can see, it has some features here. It has an article about the Battle of Rio Grande, or the Battle of Valverde. It has the rules in here. It talks about an article about light infantry and the demise of post-Frederican Prussian army, Frederick the Great. Then you have some departments or regular features in here. And this is interesting here. I wonder if this is for this, or if those are some of the counters for this game or for another game here. Anyway, here is an article about the Africa Corps 1941, The Legend Begins. And then here's the article proper. Normally in these Strategy and Tactics and other war games magazines, they usually have an article dedicated to the game that's included, to give you a little bit of the history and context, which is, something I really enjoy and find interesting. So here's all about this engagement here. And as you can see, this is in the far west, New Mexico, parts of Arizona and California, before some of these were actually states and more territories. Here's a map of the Battle of Valverde. The order of battle. Gotta like that. So this is all about the history and context, which I read these before I play the game, and then play the game, and then I try to read them again and see what I did right or what I did wrong, which is normally the case. So that's a pretty long article there. And then we have a profile here. And then we get into the rules proper here on page 21 of the game. So here are the rules. And so I don't know how this relates to his great battles of the American Civil War, which started with Terrible Swift Sword, which was a Richard Brig game. I don't know how this relates to that, or if this is truly just an offshoot of that Battles and Leaders system from SDI. or what. But looks like there's quite a bit going on in this game. The rules are in triple column, as you can see here, regular size font, but not a lot of examples or illustrations, so you're right into the Chrome, so to speak, in getting into this game here. It's going to have, facing and command and stacking and, all your different combat type rules, fire, range, line of sight. Here is a rules summary page here. This is like an insert to the insert that's going to have like the rules summary and some of your key tables and charts, morale, rally, turn continuation. That turn continuation, that sounds kind of vaguely familiar of, some of Richard Berg's design with, great battles of history, great battles of the Civil War, Men of Iron, that whole thing about trying to keep control over the situation. Wonder how that plays out here. Looks like there's some rules on that. Here's your fire combat table, your adjustments to that, your range effects here. And here's a feedback and question. So I think that might be it. And I don't know if these rules are, the one thing I don't like about some of these is they don't come out easily. You just can't like flip out the staples and then pull them out. This looks like you're going to pull out more than maybe yeah, it looks like you're going to pull out more than just the rules and the charts. Here's a continuation of the charts. Here's the melee table. Melee. Stigler will always be a stickler for my pronunciations. Terrain effects charts. Random events table, because it's not a Brig game unless you have random events. Here's some biographies here, so a little bit more context of the Confederate leaders and the United States leaders that were in here. I think this battle was prompted a lot by some of the Texas commanders of the Confederate forces that were wanting to try to create a little bit of a diversion in the West to help pull some attention off of the other theaters. I think that was part of the strategy here. Continuing on with the rules, there's more rules here. As you can see, there's quite a bit of rules. We started at 21, now we're up to page 41, so we got 21 pages of rules so far here. Triple column, nonetheless. Now we're getting into command, your combat leaders, overall commanders. Again, that harkens back to some of Richard Berg's other designs. Then we get into setup and reinforcements, victory conditions, and then you have a complete roster of the counters in this game as well. Then we get into some of the other articles in this magazine. Here's the one on Frederick and the demise of that army, some of its organization. And I find these articles relatively interesting. I mean, it's not necessarily, a 500-page book on the topic, but it gives you somewhat of an understanding to be conversant with it, with the topic. And that's about it. Then you have some of the regular features in here and some ads. And there you have it. So this is mostly a huge article about this game, the Battle of Valverde, and then Frederick the Great Prussian article. And then most of this is the rules. So I'll probably keep this in the envelope that I store these. I typically store these in these kind of envelopes. They slide in pretty. I usually take the rules out if I can. Otherwise, I put the whole magazine in, put the map in, put the counters in after I bag them, and then I'm good to go. And these can store in bins or store a lot easier than and take up less space than a box. Put it that way. So there we have, that's the magazine. Let's get to the other goodies that come in the bag. Here are your counters. This is of the period. This is 1991, so this is not, this isn't the height of graphic design. It's really kind of hard to read some of the unit designations on here. You can see some of the numbers are okay, but Some of that print is kind of hard to see there, especially now that I am older and longer in the tooth. So they're double-sided there. You've got some administrative counters on route and ammo low and free fire and disrupted. But then the rest of these are the units themselves. And there's a lot of Texas units here, as you can see. So, and it looks like there is a reduction here because this goes from a 7-12 from a 12-12. So it looks like there is some kind of step loss or reduction or reduced or disrupted or something like that built into this system here. We've got some artillery units here. So there are the counters as typical Decision Games SPI type standard fare of that period. So, and then let's get the map out here. I might have to go up Periscope so you can see the map a little bit better. It's not an overly large map there. Might not have to go up too high here. Let's take a look at this map. And again, I'd love to hear what any of you think about this game if you've played it, or any of that so-called battles and leader system. Let's point to that reference in here. It says yeah, it says right here that the Rio Grande is a small unit adaptation of Simulation Design Inc.'s Battles and Leaders system of games based on the original design by Rob Markham. Players interested in playing more games within this system should take a look at 1862, an earlier somewhat incomplete version of the system, and 1863 being published by GMT Games. Both contain 4 games, battles each, covering the larger segments of the American Civil War. That's interesting. Okay. Don't know much about that system. This isn't listed as part of that system at Board Game Geek, so I might have to rectify that at some point, since it sounds like this is part of that system. And here we go. Here is the map. I assume this is the Rio Grande. Here's your terrain key. You've got some roads here. You've got some grove. Looks like the terrain there. Some sand dunes even. You've got a turn track or turn record track up here. You've got a place to keep track of, let's see, consecutive actions. So it's keeping track of those actions and trying to take over command or maintain command, I would imagine. You have a mesa here. This is actually uncrossable area over here. So there you have it. That is the map. Here is the magazine and the rules, and here are the counters. So I'll bag that. Put this and the map in this envelope after I play it, of course, and then store that away. Yeah, I have to add a dice, I assume, or 2, but who doesn't have a dice or 2 to add? So there you have it. This is Rio Grande, the Battle of Valverde, from Strategy and Tactics number 143, a game designed by Richard Brig. Love to know, again, very much interested in your thoughts on this game. If you played it, what do you think about it? Or this system, any of those games in that system. Really don't know much about that at all. So, or if you want to talk about magazine games in general, or strategy and tactics, or the Civil War, or the Civil War in the West, or whatever is on your mind. Love to hear from you. Just keep it civil. Anyway, take care. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.